And who do you have here today?
I have with me Sylvia Planer. Sylvia is with the Greater Hammond Community Services, and we want to talk a little bit, Jim, about a huge initiative, the whole issue of cultural diversity, and talk about the collaboration with the School Corporation and the Latino Resource Fair, which is coming up. And we want to give Sylvia an opportunity to talk about that. And I just want to talk a little bit about what we're trying to do in the School City of Hammond in terms of promoting diversity as a whole.
You know, before we bring in Sylvia then, so you know, obviously Hammond is about as diverse community as you can get, really.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at it, you know, we've got everything, and we've got a lot of everything. You know, it's not a lopsided community by any means, but you know, I guess my first, when you say that, promoting diversity, it seems like it almost kind of happens naturally in the Hammond schools. In other words, we go into a lot of schools, especially for sports, and, you know, we're always looking around, and there's every, you know, it's almost as if you were to take the lazy attitude of it, that, well, you don't really need to do anything because everybody's just there's administrators, there's teachers, there's students, there's every race isn't really overrepresented in any area. On the other hand, you still got to remain proactive.
Yep, very, very much so. And the one thing that we notice, Jim, is whereas our student demographic is more diverse and a broad spread a frame of reference, our faculties, our teaching staff, and the staffs in our schools are not as diverse. So sometimes there's communication gap, and what we're trying to do is bridge those communication gaps between our staffs and our students and their parents in the community.
What do you mean by a communication gap?
Well, young people, you know, when you take into consideration that the average age of a teacher in the classroom is somewhere up in the upper 40s, close to 50, and we're dealing with children who are not only culturally and ethnically diverse, but there's the whole issue of technology. We're teaching an entirely different generation of kids. They're techno-savvy. They're smarter than we ever were when we were going to school. And so there are gaps in the ability sometimes for them to communicate. Teachers are teaching and talking in one vein, one venue, one perspective, and young people, their minds are in an entirely different mode. So we've got to try to bridge those two so we can keep our kids focused, keep them on track, and enhance the learning environment and the teaching relationships between teachers and students.
Sylvia Planer's in the house. Sylvia, where are you from?
I'm from Hammond.
You're from Hammond? What part of Hammond?
I live in the Woodmar area.
Is that where you grew up?
No, I grew up in Whiting. I went to Whiting High School.
Oh, you went to Whiting. And what's your position exactly?
Actually, I'm president of the Hammond Hispanic Community Committee. And we've been in Hammond since 1993.
Doing what?
What we've done, I'm
going to ask you to get on that microphone. I know. You know what? And this is going to sound odd, and I didn't realize, but Sylvia is just a little bit shorter than some of our other ones. So let me adjust this. I'm sorry. I should have done that ahead of time, but Sheriff Bunsich and I were talking, so I'm sorry about that, but there, it's better adjusted. So what have you guys been doing?
What we've been doing is we formed a group of people back in 1993 actually to address some of the concerns and the issues in the Latino community, but we've grown, and since then we're a very diverse organization. Our board is diverse. We address certain issues, such as one time we had addressed the Tree Street area, which is right around El Taco Real and Irving School, and we worked at making sure there was more lighting in the community in order to help with the crime situation around there, and it has improved
for a while. The Tree Streets were getting to be known as kind of the roughest part of Hammond for a little while there, and I think it may have backed off a little bit. And you're right, and it's a heavy Latino community in there also, so you can see the concern there. So you guys have been working to push for lights in that area. So
We
is this
push for more lighting.
is this an independent thing, or is it part of the School City?
We're an independent. We're a 501c3. However, when we first started, we actually started with the School City of Hammond. There was a youth group, a youth program that started, and School City of Hammond helped Hammond Hispanic Community Committee with that, along with the City of Hammond's Planning and Development Department. So that's how it started. And then 3 years later, in 1996, we looked at everything that they did with the youth program, and we decided we needed to broaden ourselves and really go out more into the community, in which we started to address the issue of not knowing what's out there to help the community. And that's why we started the Latino Resource Fair, because there are a lot of resources out in the community that no one's aware of, or many times has to, make 50 million calls to find out how they can get help. So we decided we're going to start this. And when we started it, we started with 10 vendors. We're now up to 50 vendors in 8 years, and it just keeps growing, and we have anywhere between 400 to 450 people attend.
When is it? Make sure we put that out there.
This is Saturday, September 24th from 10 to 2 at Irving School in Hammond, which is at 4727 Pine Street.
And so who would go to this?
Your families. We invite the families. We put out flyers throughout the whole school system. It's been in the newspaper. People have been forwarding emails to everywhere, anywhere from Hammond to Lake Station to everywhere in Maryville. Everybody knows about it. It's been in the paper twice now. So, but we're very happy, that we're reaching all these people.
So it's not a job fair, it's a resource fair.
It's a resource fair where people can come in and ask people about Alzheimer's. We'll have vendors such as the Alzheimer's Association. American Red Cross will have a blood drive there as well, so they'll get information about the American Red Cross. So if you want to donate blood, come on out too. And there's also health screenings, such as we're going to have the bone marrow registry there as well. And these are things that the Latino community basically, and I think the whole community sometimes forgets about, and we really need to put that out.
¿Se habla español?
Yo sí hablo español.
And now are there going to be people there that speak Spanish?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
And muchas personas
que van a hablar español también.
All right. Excellent. We could do part of this in Spanish if you don't mind.
I can try.
It's an English show. Actually, as soon as you start speaking fast, then I got to call my wife. But we could podemos hablar español si queremos. Well, but just so that everybody understands, va a ser un Latino Resource Fair, and let's see, sábado, 10 a 2, and that's going to be at Washington Irving. Back to you, Dr. Watkins. Do you know off the top of your head, I hate to put you on the spot, percentage of Hispanic students in the schools now?
The Hispanic population is our largest student demographic. 39% of our student body is Hispanic.
All right, let's look through it. 39% Hispanic. Then Then what?
30% African American.
Okay.
22% Caucasian.
Okay.
And the rest, I think that's about 91. 91%. Then we have our multiracial, Asian. American, Native American, American Indian. So when you add the two, the African American and the Hispanic population, you can clearly see that nearly 70% of our student population is minority, and our Hispanic population is our largest.
And if you throw in the fact that the multiculturals and the Asian and Native American considered minorities, at least legally, then you're talking close to 75 to almost 80%. Well, let's use 75% maybe. That'd be about.
I think it's closer to 78%. And those 3 percentage points make a huge difference when you consider we're talking about over 13,000 students.
So out of around over 13,000 students. Now, I apologize. Buster has come in, and he's just been outside, and he tends to roll around in the dew. So that slight stench is just the dog coming in here. If it becomes offensive, just let me know and I'll push them out of here. But over 13,000 students, and 78% are minority. I mean, and so now it kind of makes sense why you brought Sylvia Planer in here. So what I mean, all right, go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to just mention is that we have an RFP out. I know it's on our School City website, and it's going to be posted in the Times and the Post Tribune. We are trying to bring in some training for not only our students, but most particular our staff members in terms of the issue of diversity. Not just ethnic or racial diversity, although clearly that is a main thrust, but diversity in the broader sense. So if there are any vendors out there or any individuals or groups out there that have a proven record of providing training for groups of people relative to diversity, cultural diversity, diversity as a whole, they can contact my office for a copy of the RFP. We'll be taking proposals. I have a committee. We will be screening those proposals and bringing individuals in to provide that training to our staff, because we realize that the issue of diversity, cultural and globally, is a huge issue in the 21st century. And we want to do not only the best job we can in preparing our kids academically, but preparing them culturally for the world.
One of those is there's an Illinois issue that is you guys are always fighting, that people want from Illinois want to kind of seep into the Hammond schools. I mean, that's part of the issue for requiring that, correct?
Well, one of the things that I want the listening public to understand is that there's a law on the books that says we do not have the right to turn away kids who come to our school. I don't care where they come from. What the law says to us is you take the kid and you fight with the parents. Okay, so you don't make the kid the victim of the parent not having appropriate information to enroll the kid in school. So we do require residency information. Everybody wants proof of identification, but we do require residency information, and sometimes it is difficult for individuals who have challenges to get that information. But we still try never to turn away kids, because we're not supposed to, but we also are required, and we have to find the appropriate documentation to enroll kids in our school from the parent. And that's where the challenge is. Speaking
of challenges, we're talking with Sylvia Planer also. She's talking about a Latino resource fair. And Dr. Watkins just gave us some of the breakdowns of the students here. 40% Hispanic, roughly, maybe even a little bit more if you take in multicultural. And so you're talking 4 out of 10 students. Some of them are new, and they're not speaking Spanish. What kind of special challenges does that create trying to get them into school?
Well, first of all, thank goodness we do have a bilingual education program in the School City of Hammond. And I think that bilingual department does an exceptional job of transitioning limited and non-English speaking students, not just Hispanic, although that is the bulk of the students in the program, but not only transitioning those kids into schools throughout the district, but their parents as well. I know they provide lots of services, after-school support, support during the day for parents, to help them better understand the issues in the schools, to help them better acclimate to the issues in the schools. So it's quite a challenge, because there are a number of students, significant number, that are limited and non-English proficient. But I think we do a great job, and we try to do the very best that we can to bring those kids into the system and help them become successful over time.
So Sylvia, as the Hispanic population, I'm sure if somebody made a computer model, there's going to be a date at which they're going to say that it's going to be mostly Hispanic. In Hammond, it seems like the trend is there. Maybe it reaches 50% or more. What are, some of the biggest challenges you guys are seeing as we move to those kind of numbers?
I think it's just that as as we talk about diversity, it's people understanding the different cultures and understanding who we are and what we're about. And I think that's why one of the challenges is to help people understand the different cultures. And if it moves to become 50% or more Latinos or Hispanics, then I think that's why we come in and we say, come and understand who we are. There are different cultures within the Hispanic community, and that's what we try to put out there, together with School City Hammond and together with the bilingual department, especially that is in the School City Hammond. They really bring together all the different ethnicities within, or different cultures within the Hispanic. And I think that's what we try to do. We try to make sure that people are educated on who we are, why we do things, why we won't do things, and hopefully we can help the Hispanic community learn to do or help them transition into the American way of life.